Welcome back to the Make or Break Society. In this one, we're going to be looking at the Pi hole and how to configure it, and whether or not it's even worth it. So to do this one, you're not going to need much. All you need is a Raspberry Pi. You can use any Raspberry Pi, right from the Raspberry Pi 1 all the way to the 5. You can also use the zeros. However, I would strongly recommend getting a Ethernet adapter if you're going to use the zeros. The only other thing you're going to need is a good power source and an SD card of really any size. You only need, I think it's like 2 gigs or something like that to run this. The slower Raspberry Pis actually do work well here, so long as you're not putting a bunch of clients on it. For my setup, it's going to just be for home and for like the kids. So there's going to be at most 10 devices. So I'm using a Raspberry Pi 2. As far as additional things you're going to need, you're going to want the Raspberry Pi imager. Make sure you grab the newest version of it. I've had some problems with my older versions. So grab the newest version of the Raspberry Pi imager. The last piece of software you're going to need is something so you can SSH into the Raspberry Pi. For me, I use PuTTY, but you can directly SSH into it using the terminal if you'd prefer. And then I'm also going to be 3D printing this case so I can mount the Pi in it and just screw it to the wall like an appliance. Okay, so let's get into it. So step 1 is to insert your micro SD card or regular SD card if you're using a Pi A1 and open up Raspberry Pi Imager. So select the Raspberry Pi you'll be using, in my case the Raspberry Pi 2. We're going to go to Raspberry Pi Other. And we want the light version of the operating system. You can use the current one or the legacy one. It's really up to you. I'm going to use the current one, which does take a little bit longer to boot, but it seems to run perfectly stable. You select your SD card, give it a host name, so in my case I'm going to call it Pi hole. Localization options, so capital city of your country, and then time zone. Give it a username and password. I like to leave it to the default username for Raspberry Pis, so Pi and Raspberry. Now, this actually isn't important for me because mine doesn't have Wi-Fi, but you can put in your Wi-Fi information here. You absolutely want to make sure that SSH is enabled and you're using password authentication. That's where the password you entered earlier comes into play. And Pi Connect, if you have a Raspberry Pi Connect account, then go that way. I don't bother with it. And then just write the image. Okay, so now that that's done, we're in PuTTY here and ready to SSH into it. It is worth noting that if you're using an older Pi, it's going to take a while to boot. Mine took almost 10 minutes. To get your IP, you can either connect a monitor to it and it'll show you what the IP is on it, or you can use an IP scanner or just go to your router and see what IP it was assigned. So for me, it's 11.11.11.45. And then the first time you connect to a device, you're going to get this pop up. Yes. Log in as Pi. Password is Raspberry. So the first thing we're going to want to do is run an update. Sudo apt update. Okay, so now that's done, we're going to sudo apt upgrade. Click yes. And then we just let this run for a bit. Okay, we're done. That took a little over 20 minutes. Again, this is a problem with running the old Pi. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to reboot after those updates. So sudo reboot. Now this setting has ended. I've got a rolling ping on this IP address, so I can see when it comes back up and we'll get reconnected. So that took about 3 minutes. In PuTTY, I just went up to the top and clicked restart session, and it just auto jumps me back to it. Pi. And then now we just install HandHeld. So sudo, and then this is the script, and enter. Yeah, so on this window we just click OK. And OK. Donate if you end up liking this project. I've already donated, and this project is absolutely worth it. So yes, I understand it's going to need a static IP address. You'll have to set that up in your router later. I'll show you how to do that on a Cisco Meraki, but that's all I can show you on because that's what I got. So you can pick anything you want out of here. I like to use OpenDNS. So if we don't click yes here, HandHeld won't do anything out of the box. It's just asking if we want to add Stephen Black's host list. So yes. Would you like to enable query logging? Yes. I always put it in anonymous mode. Now we wait a little bit longer here for it to finish installing. You want to make note of the password, and it is case sensitive. You also want to make note of the web login, and I use the IP one for now. So in my case, that's 11.11.11.45:80/admin. Now I'm going to switch over to a web browser. Okay, so back at a browser window, we're going to go to our HandHeld. And then we're going to use the password that it gave us. So it looks like I've got 4 active clients. This is from when I set this up once before yesterday, just to make sure that everything was going to work with the Pi 2 before I shot the video. And apparently a few clients still had it in the DNS. So there's a couple of things already connected. But we're going to go through how to make sure everything on the network shows up properly. So first things first, we're going to go to lists. And you'll see this is the one that it asked us about during setup. We're going to add one more. We're going to add Hagezi. We're going to add his DNS block list as well. think it's this one, the normal Pro, or the Pro. Let's click on that. Yes, so multi-pro extended protection recommended. This is the one that we're going to go for. So he's got lists set up for multiple different types of devices. We want this one, ad block, which is for Pi-hole, ad guard, and all these other ones. So we're going to go here. I'm going to copy link. Back to our Pi-hole. Paste it in. Add block list. And you notice here right now we've got 78,000 different domains that it's blocking. Now it shows that we have two lists. This 78,000, that is just from the one here that shows synced. So we're going to go to Tools, Update Gravity, and Update. Alright, that's all done. So now when we go back to lists, you can see that 78,000 is updated to 265,000. And both of our lists are showing green. So next, we're going to set up our router to use this as its primary DNS source, and to set a static IP address. Okay, here we are on our Meraki. I'm going to first go to clients. You can see there's our Pi-hole, Raspberry Pi Foundation. Cool, so we're going to click on that. You can see that I was messing with it earlier. I'm going to grab our MAC address here. Copy. And then I want to go into DHCP. Oh, and it's already here. So fixed IP assignments, you would add a fixed IP assignment, name it, give it your MAC address, and tell it what IP address. So I just left it at what it auto-assigned to. And then up here, DNS name servers. Right now it's proxy to upstream DNS. We want to specify name server. And you can see this is from when I was testing yesterday. Oops. That it's already entered there. And then I'm going to click save down here. And now any new clients that connect will automatically connect with this as the DNS. Currently connected clients will just keep the IP and DNS settings that they already retrieved from the router. So it's when a device disconnects and then reconnects is when this will happen. I'm going to close this. And reopen our Firefox. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to disable blocking for, I'm going to do for 5 minutes. And I can re-enable at any time. The reason I'm doing that is I want to get some test ads. So we're going to go to speed test, because speed test is particularly bad. So here are our test sites. We've got speedtest.net. We've got Fuzzy. And then TurtleCute. So because I'm using Firefox, some of these things are just already getting blocked. So now let's flip back over to here. We're going to enable blocking. Okay, so here we are in private session. I'm just going to copy and paste those URLs over. There's speed test. There's fuzz. And here's the ad block test. So we had 30 blocked before and 103 not blocked. Now we're up to 88. And it's blocking Google Ads, which is, they're most of the ads on the internet. But you'll see like Amazon is not being blocked at all. You can go in, like let's take this, copy that URL, and let's go to our Pi-hole session. We're going to go domains. I'm going to block that domain. Add to deny list. And so now let's watch and see if this one goes. I actually don't know if this works. So we may need to do this. So now let's refresh this page and see if that first one's gone. I have no idea if this works. Doesn't look like it. So there's obviously going to be a way that you can block these in it, but I haven't played around in it enough to know. But as it stands, just having Pi-hole configured like it is going to block ads from like a large chunk of the internet. And that's it for this part. You've got your custom DNS set on your firewall. And I mean, let's take a look here. The status on the device. Memory usage, 15%. Load, tiny. Okay, let's see, is there a better way to put stats on the system? Yes, there is. So 15% of total RAM, 2.3% of CPU usage. Granted, that's with only 5 clients connected. I'm going to hit it with that test site and see if that CPU or RAM usage goes up a bunch. The CPU goes up like 1.5%. Memory usage stays exactly the same. So yeah, you could probably comfortably have 10 to 20 devices connecting to this on a Raspberry Pi 2. Might even be able to do more than that. With the Raspberry Pi 1, you could do, a dorm room. Alright, so now I'm just gonna unplug that and install this into the case that I 3D printed. So here's the Pi fully installed into the case. I didn't record it because it's just 4 screws and a plug connected to a barrel jack. So we just put the top on and it's ready to go. I hope this inspired you to make one of your own. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, remember, it doesn't matter if you make a break, as long as you're having fun.